Skipping through the interns.
Hey.
Ooh, hey guys.
Hey, what is this? Do our mics still work? Do our
We
cameras still work?
gotta
It's been a while.
work on that intro.
It's been a while. I like that it's fluid, dude. I like every time we don't know what we're gonna do, so therefore it's always new, it's always fresh. Well, it's always new.
Well, it's kind of always the same thing, but you know,
It's a variation. It's like
I also feel like if we were like a sitcom, it would be funny too to come in like one by one and each kind of have your own catchphrase when you come in to kind of intro yourself. Maybe at least Whiskey Vince could maybe have that.
dude, that's a great idea. We need to come up with like an 80s sitcom theme song for the intro of the show. Then we never have to worry about it. We could literally just like be mid conversation, but as long as it takes place after those credits start, we're gold.
Yeah, exactly.
So, as I touched on before, it's been a minute. Been touched with some late summer cold blues, and we'll leave it at that. But we're back, and I wanted to bring up the topic. It's been a week since we found out the tragic passing to all of us, Paul Reubens, who passed away after a fight with cancer at 70. And if there's anything Dave and I have done on this show, it's talk about how much we love Pee Wee and Paul Reubens and everything. But I just kind of wanted to give a send off as a record for this show that we did it, so that way when our kids are listening and making fun of us later, they can be like, "Wow, you guys really took yourselves too seriously." But I think just maybe we can touch on a little bit, obviously Pee Wee, but some other stuff, because he's done other stuff that I think we've kind of followed his career from the beginning.
Yeah, I think it's probably you and I, especially like the Pee Wee's Big Adventure in particular, is the movie that we've quoted probably most. I would love to see like a pie graph of what we've quoted, and Pee Wee's Big Adventure is probably 40% of it. But yeah, I mean it's he meant a lot to us, and beyond Pee Wee, I wrote even on my social medias, I wrote some sappy letter there to Paul Reubens in his honor. And I don't even like celebrities, so I feel like he was kind of a dude that hit me pretty hard. But
yeah, I was thinking about it, and like literally, I think our entire lives have been. I know for me, like I can only speak for myself, but literally my entire life has been shaped by that movie. And when I was a kid, my dad, when he moved out here from Oklahoma, he had HBO for the first time, and Pee Wee was one of the movies that he recorded. So I like up until I was about 12 years old, I would watch Pee Wee's Big Adventure on this old VHS tape. That in the middle, when Pee Wee gets jumped in the alley, all the way to when him and Mickey go off the cliff. That part, my sister changed the channel, and was back when VCRs, whatever channel you change it to, it would record. So right at that scene, right when he gets jumped in the alley, it cuts away from Pee Wee's Big Adventures and goes to about 10 to 15 minutes of facts or what's the one with Michael P. Keaton, Family Ties. So
Nice.
there's like a 20-minute Family Ties episode that like I didn't know. And so one day I was at Blockbuster with my mom, and they had Pee Wee's Big Adventure on sale on DVD for like it was like $2. So I'm like, oh, can I buy this? I realize I've never actually watched the real movie. And so I watched it, and I was dumbfounded of this missing scene that's probably arguably one of the funniest sequences, with him and Mickey in the car, and the most subtle cross-dressing joke of all time, and like prison joke of all time. But yeah, so I literally my entire life, obviously a lot of my friends have been huge fans of the movies. Dave, you and I think have had friends that probably never knew what Pee Wee's Big Adventure was, and we were like, look, you got to watch it. But everybody I know, I don't think I have any friends that aren't fans of that movie, so I don't know, maybe that's my main criteria.
I mean, that's a good criteria to have. It's like you bring it up, you see how they react. But I think, for me, it's a little bit like that too, where like I was like, I think when I was really young, I was a lot more serious. Like I didn't watch a ton of movies. So I think, Pee Wee's Big Adventure was one of those movies where like I came across somehow, and I don't remember how, like maybe it was on TV or something. And I was just like so weirded out by it.
Yeah.
And I couldn't really explain why it was weird, but I also knew that it was interesting and funny at the same time. And I feel like it like shaped my brain to like think about things differently. Like I was like, oh, like things can be like weird, but also like sort of like funny, but also silly, but also dark, like at the same time. Like probably that movie, and then The Thing is probably another one that I saw, and it's just like shattered my brain.
Yeah.
But yeah, definitely. It's probably one, and it's probably one that I can't even count how many times I've watched.
Yeah, I mean, same. I mean, we've gone so far as to watch it in French, which you could argue might just make it that much better, much
Andy.
more better. Andy, François. Remember he's in the bar and like the voices, the dubbing voices they
Yeah,
have.
yeah, yeah. They're deciding what to do with them in the bar. They're like, "You're not casse," and like his like head
Yeah.
movement. It was amazing.
Yeah, so I've loved that movie my entire life, and it's I've always had it's always fascinated me. I think what you just said is perfect. Like Pee Wee really and Paul Reubens, kind of his humor and his aesthetic lies in the uncanny valley. And as a kid, when you're looking at something where it's a grown adult, in your head you're watching a grown adult, but he's so committed to the bit of playing this offbeat, and also never gives you context. He never gives you context for why. There's no gritty Pee Wee origin story. There's Pee Wee, he exists, and he exists in these different, in the Playhouse, or in the Big Adventure, or Big Top, or late Big Holiday.
And it's funny too how they go about it, because it's like Pee Wee's Big Adventure. Like for some reason, everyone just loves Pee Wee. He's the best ever. He can spray people's doors, and they just smile and wave at him. But then in the much lesser known sequel, Big Top Pee Wee, that we also love, it's not exactly Big Adventure. It's not. Danny Elfman did the music. Tim Burton didn't come back for that one. But there's like some aspects of Big Top that are also just so hilarious, dude. Like, but for some reason in that movie, like everyone hates him. And like, especially in the first like 20 minutes, it's like he goes into town to like buy a sandwich, and they're like, "Everybody stop! Pee Wee wants a pickle." And like, it's so funny, dude. So I just feel like, yeah, it's they always like interesting stuff with the Pee Wee character, even though he like stays the same as his like sort of childlike wonder.
Yeah, and Paul Reubens is really interesting because Paul Reubens' dad was like one of 5 people to help create the Israeli military. So his dad was a military guy, and I remember hearing
Whoa.
an interview on NPR with him with Terry Gross, where he was talking about his dad was like understood early on that he was a different kind of a kid. So like, and never questioned it. So he would have tea parties and stuff, and he'd invite his dad, and his dad would always come and
That's
act like stoked. Like, he'd be like, "Do you want sugar?" And he's like, "Yeah, I want sugar." And he's doing like the Pee Wee stuff. But so he also,
that's a good dad right there,
for
dude.
sure, and he also grew up in like the shadow. In his like backyard basically was the Ringling Brothers Circus. Like they have a university, or they used to, out in I think near Sarasota, Florida, where he grew up. But he said he had like the literal Ringling Brothers Circus like in his backyard. So I think Big Top
Whoa.
I think Big Top is more of him than even maybe Big Adventure is. Obviously, it's a huge his influence and his character and everything, and his comedic style and his aesthetic is very distinct. But I think in Big Adventure you had the perfect storm of all those creatives, and Phil Hartman. That's the piece also that people don't really talk about, all that. But through all this, through the uncanny valley, I've always been fascinated with Paul Reubens. And when you're really young, you just know him as Pee Wee Herman, so you would see him pop up randomly, not as much, but anytime I saw that Paul Reubens was in a movie, like he was in Dunstan Checks In. I heard he was in Dunstan Checks In. So I told my mom, I was like, we got to buy Dunstan Checks In because I got to see like Pee Wee's in that movie. So I've like just followed his
He's in it
career.
after like an hour and a half.
Yeah,
But
and his
he's still
role is
good.
his role. I mean, he steals the show, of course, because that's what he did. But he also hosted a show in like the late 90s, early 2000s on the Game Show Network for that game You Don't Know Jack. There was a live game show on the Game Show Network back then, and he was the host, and he had like this really long mod haircut, and it was so weird because we were just watching it as a family, and I remember being like, oh my gosh, that's the guy who plays Pee Wee. But anyway, all that to say, like, it brings us to, I think, Paul Reubens' second best movie of all time, and that would be Mystery Men, another one of Dave's favorites. I know.
I think Mystery Men is the most underrated movie of all time.
I don't
Definitely
even.
comedy.
Well,
But
my only argument there would be I don't know how underrated it is anymore. I think
you think so?
10 years ago, I think that was true. But I think like there's like the cast started to started having to respond to the internet crying for a Mystery Men 2. Like Ben Stiller had to respond.
Dude.
So that tells me that I think it probably is more of a cult movie that now it's been 20 years or whatever. So I think we're seeing the culmination. I think through his death, more people will look into his catalog or whatever
Well,
else.
dude,
But
I mean, the cast of that movie is out of control. I mean, like,
sure.
people don't realize, like, Joffrey Rush, like, obviously
yeah.
before he played Barbosa, like,
Hank
I
Azaria.
mean, yeah, there's just so many, like, I mean, it's one of Ben Stiller's funniest roles, like, I think, like,
Look, if you tell me to
so.
junk it one more time,
Chunk, dude, and like even the cinematography of that movie is like so
yeah,
interesting. Like they used like weird like fisheye lenses at certain points, like for no reason,
yeah.
just to make it like weird and like it was like if it was ahead of its time and like it was before anyone was doing superhero movies.
Well, I always
Pretty
loved how
crazy.
they like the world building they did in that movie. In was it Hero City? What's the name of the city that they're in?
Yeah, they're in oh my god, I can't think of it. Uh it's like it's sort of like a parody of like Gotham.
Yeah,
Uh oh, what am I gonna see? Oh, Champion City.
Champion City.
Yeah,
But
it's like
that's what
super generic sounding.
it definitely feels like a play on Gotham. But I always loved how they brought that world together. The characters are so distinct. Great movie. Ben Stiller's got one of the most subtle jokes in there when he's looking at the motorcycle magazine, and Claire
Yeah,
Forlani comes up. She's like, "Oh, you have a Harley?" He's like, "Yeah, I have a Harley. Compatible. Harley
compatible.
compatible." It's like one of the most subtle jokes of all time, and I love it. But obviously,
Yeah,
Paul Reubens' role as the spleen, um,
so good, dude.
so good, so good.
Kel is in the movie.
Cal, Greg Kinnear. Yeah, there's a lot. I mean, that is some heavy hitters,
Uh,
man.
yeah, man. William H. Macy. Yeah, there's
But he's
and
not long.
definitely oh yeah, what were you gonna say?
No, I was just gonna say, he definitely had worked throughout his entire career and was, had kind of his career kind of ebbed and flowed. But yeah, I just always loved when I'd see him pop up on stuff. I'm stoked to see all of the clips going around social media of him. I guess there was a stint that he did in WWE.
Yeah, we were just watching that. Yeah, there was ones that I had not seen, like his WWE appearance, which was probably like 7 or 8 years ago or something. I know it was like kind of probably I think right before his Broadway stuff, and I'm so glad that he got a big comeback basically like
Yeah,
right before his Broadway special. He really because he kind of was out of the cultural zeitgeist like right before that. But he got to do that Broadway special for Pee Wee's Playhouse, and it was so awesome. Like you can go see like I think the official taping of it is on Netflix. But yeah, that and then of course like Pee Wee's Big Holiday was awesome, and he got to do some more great cameos.
something else
Um,
too. I mean, if you can find it, it used to be on DVD. I think it's discontinued, but he recorded and it was an HBO special that he did for the original Pee Wee Herman show, which was like basically the basis of the Pee Wee's Playhouse and his big comeback show that he did on Broadway. But it was a show that he did at the Roxy, like fresh off the groundlings, and he basically did it as a proof of concept, and that's what blew him up in LA. What got him, big adventure, and that kind of just kickstarted his whole career. But first of all, let's say hi to Whiskey Vince. Hi, Whiskey Vince. You there? Uh-oh. Oh, Whiskey
Hey,
Vince.
you caught me off guard, dude.
he's drunk.
I'm
dude.
already drunk.
He's trying to tell us before the show like he felt guilty about drinking whiskey because he's really committing to the bit. And then, but he was trying to claim he was like, "Oh, don't worry, I only drink this like during the show." And we're like, "Dude, you don't have to,
And the weird thing is he's always pushing for a 3-hour show, which I guess now makes sense because he's really trying to push the
This
limit.
is his one time to relax from his stressful life,
Yeah.
and so that's the only reason we stream. Really, is we're trying to give Whiskey Vince some relaxing time.
Well, I appreciate it, boys. I started about an hour before the show, so I'm already an hour in.
Yeah, you're in a different time zone, right? Quote,
Yeah.
unquote.
It helps the setup.
Are we
Vince,
recording?
Before we jumped on,
Sure hope so.
you had actually mentioned a great Paul Reubens, like one of your favorite roles that he did. What was that?
Oh, I wish I could remember the name of the character, but I, as a kid, watched Cheech and Chong a lot. I don't know if that speaks a lot about my upbringing, but I always loved Pee Wee's Big Adventure, and I always freaked out because I would notice that the same guy that played Pee Wee was in Cheech and Chong. I think it's the second one, right? He plays.
He's in multiple. Yeah.
Is he in multiple? But yeah, I think the second one he plays the manager of the hotel.
You big guy picking on a little guy?
Dude, it's so amazing.
Yeah, dude.
Just every scene he's ever been in anything, he stands out and he's so funny. And I completely, when you were talking about Dunstan, or what is it? Dustin checks in.
Dunstan checks in.
checks in.
Dude, I forgot he was in that. The second you said it, I was like, oh my god, I forgot all about that. He played they were like the rich couple, right?
No, he played the guy that was hired to come in and figure out what monkey they had in the hotel. So he was like a monkey expert. But that, yeah, I mean, that Cheech and Chong, I forgot, because he's the bell. He's like the manager of the hotel, and the one, I think that's still smoking, right? Is that the second or third one?
That's the one where the detective turns into a lizard.
But he's also the one, yeah, he's also the Sergeant Stadenko. He's also in the one where he plays the cokehead, where he's at the table, he's like, and he's just like doing that, trying to get people to do coke at the table. But yeah, so there's a lot of good stuff that he's done and a lot of cool stuff. You know, I was telling Vince that the cool thing about that, his cameos in Cheech and Chong, is like the studio basically gave Cheech and Chong a ton of money to make those early movies. And so they were smart enough to know, like, oh, all the up and coming comedians are over at the Groundlings. So if you watch their movies, there's just people all over. Like, they just cast the Groundlings and a lot of those people from the theater from the early 80s and late 70s in their movie. And you know, it's funny. He's also has a cameo in Back to the Beach, the Annette Funicello and Frankie Avalon movie from the 80s.
Oh, nice.
Because he was friends with Annette Funicello. And also the Pee Wee's Playhouse Christmas special, which is in every year, watch, and it's got its own thing.
Dude, it's crazy seeing like how many people like he knew. Like he was everywhere.
Yeah.
Like
he was everywhere.
Like he was never like at the forefront, but he knew so many people and like was appreciated by so many people. And I agree with Peachtree too. She's saying, I wish I had spent more time with him as a kid because I feel like I would have embraced my weird a lot earlier. I feel like that's kind of a fun way to say that. Like,
yeah, and I've heard a bunch of people or seen a bunch of posts of people kind of mirroring that and what he kind of meant to, like, the people that felt like more outcasts or the people that were a little bit quirkier that didn't necessarily fit into a box. I mean, that's that dude's entire career. So yeah, Dave and I got to go. We actually went out to South Pasadena yesterday over by where Dave lives. Sorry, you threw out my city a couple weeks ago where I lived, so now I'm giving it back. But we went and actually like saw his house from Big Adventure. It was really cool. There's flowers in the Finn's posts, and it's sad when stuff like this happens, especially when you don't. I mean, we didn't know him, or couldn't call him friend, but it is interesting how somebody that you don't know, you could feel a loss for, and yeah, it was definitely tough to hear the news for sure. I wasn't expecting it.
The good news is his house still looks like really awesome. That was used to shoot the exteriors of Pee Wee's Big Adventure. Like it's so colorful, it looks super cool.
Yeah,
but hopefully, yeah.
Blow.
I was gonna say, yeah, I was gonna give a quick shout out to a couple other movies like Blow. Like we were talking about the original Buffy movie that was before the series.
Yeah,
that like it's not a good. We were talking about how it's not a good movie, but like Paul Reubens plays a vampire in it. It is pretty hilarious. And he actually makes a cameo in What We Do in the Shadows from a few years back too. That's pretty funny. He's the best part of. Yeah, but I don't know. Yeah, I remember he was a big Johnny Depp supporter too at the time. Oh, let's give a shout out to Batman Returns. He plays freaking Penguin's father.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, there's like a bunch of little parts like that he's in, where he just kind of popped up, and yeah, I forgot about Derek for Real in Blow, man. That's such a great role for him. I love in that movie. What I love about that is he's able to kind of show his acting chops beyond just comedy, because he definitely plays a comedic character. But when he has that turn where he's like, "All right, here's the deal," plays this real boisterous, flamboyant hairdresser, and then behind, closes the door. He's like, "All right, do you want?" And he starts doing a drug deal. It's great movie. Oh, dude. Also, Captain Rex, Star Tours.
Dude, of course.
Dude, that's legendary.
I quote it all the time while I'm driving, dude.
You have to, dude. It's the
only tractor beam. So many good ones, dude.
And it's mine too.
I didn't realize that was Paul Reubens until for like a while, like probably like, I don't know. It was probably when we were teenagers or something when I realized. But
it's one of those things that you don't like. You probably wouldn't think it was him, and then as soon as somebody was like, "Oh yeah, that's the guy who does Pee Wee," you're like, "Oh yeah, of course, that makes complete sense." But he, So obviously, we'll miss. Super thankful that we have all the movies that we got. Super thankful that we got Big Holiday a few years ago, and he's from the people that knew him. He will be missed for sure. But all right,
let's what should we get into now? I think you had some pitches.
Well, before that, we're going to talk a little bit about. I just think the transition from movie talk to my pitches will make a little bit more sense. But we're going to talk. We got to see Dave and I got to see a movie together. How long has it been since? I mean, we used to go. We were on a like streak with those Marvel movies, and then it's been a few years since we got to see a movie together.
Yeah, it is. I mean, we live further apart now, and I don't know. It's like typical. You're in your
It's really
30s.
not that
You have
far, but
to
yeah,
pretend like you're an adult.
yeah, for sure.
But yeah, man, we got to see Turtles Mutant Mayhem together, and it was awesome. Our mutual friend was worked on it as a 3D animator. Shout out to Andy Bueller, and we all went and hung out with them and their kids, and it was awesome. I enjoyed it.
It was awesome, and much like Pee Wee, you know, Dave and I are lifelong Turtle fans, and that's probably one of the early movies that we bonded over. So I love this movie. I thought it was super cool. I'm always going to be partial to the first two, to Turtles 1 and Secret of the Ooze. You know, if you're asking me how I want my turtles, I want my turtles in Jim Henson puppeteered foam latex suits doing martial arts. Because if you want to talk about Uncanny Valley, there's fewer things that are more Uncanny Valley than the animatronic turtles.
Like,
But
to
man, I love
realize
this
how
movie.
ballsy those movies were is
Truly.
pretty wild. Like, I always just took them for granted, like watching them, when I was 4. But now I'm like, dude, how? And like they still hold up so well, dude.
And
Well,
like
the first two.
just the technical side of how they even had got like accomplished that stuff to make that movie is incredible. But yeah, I mean, those movies are super beloved. Since then, basically, you know, they've had small successes here and there. You know, they had a series in 2003. Obviously, the animated series in the 80s was mega huge and set I mean, was so huge that 40 years later it's still relevant. But they had another series that came out in 2003. That was another animated series that was actually pretty good. Had a movie come out in 2007, and then they kind of rebooted it on Nickelodeon with the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, which was pretty awesome, the CG. But this new movie, I think, is going to really set off that fan base for people our age and all of their, you know, their kids and everybody in between.
Yeah, I remember the 2007 one being pretty good, but I remember they looked more like frogs.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, that's like I don't remember a whole lot about it, but yeah, this one, like, I feel like we're both like a little bit had grown a little bit sick of sort of the like Seth Rogen type of like comedy, just because it's just been like had been such a void in comedy for the past like 15 years, and you just kept seeing the same names like over and over and over and over. And so like for me, like when I heard that they were making this movie, it was kind of like, I don't know, okay, we'll see. But like kind of the more I heard about it, the more awesome it was. And then, I really love the trailers and stuff. And I appreciated how, like, I think my biggest thing about it is like I appreciate how like real the turtles were, like, as like teenagers. Like they seem like 15-year-old boys, like how like they would operate, and like they're sort of like goofy like camaraderie with each other.
Well, I think that's its absolute strength is they really captured how teens talk to each other, even to the point of where like some of the things some of the lingo they were using, I was like, man, I assume that's lingo because I'm not sure.
Yeah.
But or some of the references, but you know, for the most part, I got it. But yeah, I mean, the dialogue and the back and forth and the chemistry, you know, I don't know what they did to find that chemistry. I know the kid that does the voice for Raphael was also in that Bad Boys movie, the little kid cussing movie that Seth Rogen did from a few years ago. He was also the lead in Mighty Ducks, but he does the voice. So I know that Seth Rogen probably had him in mind for that part, but man, just the dynamic between all of them, and even April, like I loved all their dynamic.
Yeah, also shout out to Jackie Chan as Splinter. Like, we were, I remember just like a few years ago, we'd had this discussion where we're like, dude, where is Jackie Chan? Like, why
Yeah.
isn't he? I mean, I guess he was in China, dude, just making money over there doing stuff. But I mean, such a like a cool casting there.
Yeah, it was definitely a different take on Splinter than I'm used to, than I've really seen. I think it's probably more on par with, they did a series called Rise of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, because you know how Rise is overused. But
Everybody has to rise. It's like,
everybody has to rise, even turtles, even mutant turtles. But they did a series that was more like, I don't know, it was more like Adult Swim kind of, where it was Samurai Jackie more than it was like whatever came before it. So I think it's kind of in line with that. But story-wise, I thought it was great. They loaded this movie up with characters, which that's always been my complaint, for Turtles movies, is they always want to focus on Krang and Shredder, but there's like a whole world of Turtles, which the 2007 movie didn't do that. So shout out to that movie, to the Turtle Frogs. But they in this one they throw a ton of Turtles characters from the original series at you. So that was a little bit that was cool the way they did it, but it makes me wonder where they're going to go, because they essentially made Bebop and Rocksteady like these redeemed good guys now.
Yeah, they're like fully good guys. They're like spoilers, I guess. They're like pretty much like the majority of the mutants, if not all of them, are like just hanging out with the turtles in the sewers like by the end of the movie. So it's kind of like, I did think that was an interesting choice to be like, oh, so like we're never gonna see like Shredder with Bebop and Rocksteady? I don't know. I mean, sure, we've seen it a bunch of times, but like, yeah, it was that same kind of thing for me where I'm like, oh, it's cool that they made like really interesting choices. The biggest one being that like, oh, they're actually going to be in high school. And like, that's something that we've never seen the Turtles do. It's always been like, they're superheroes, their identity, they're mutants.
Yeah.
But it's kind of cool to be like, almost like a Tony Starkian choice at the end when he announces he's Iron Man and no one's expecting it. Oh, now they're just like accepted as high school kids. And I almost like do kind of feel like that's realistic, that like high school kids probably would like accept them. They would probably think they're awesome.
Well, especially with 40 years of, them being around, it's got to be relevant to those kids. Yeah, I that's a good point that I didn't think about. But yeah, it was like they took that part of it away. They didn't really back themselves into that corner. Now at the end of it, spoilers, there is a reveal that Shredder is kind of, did you take it that he was kind of behind the scenes a little bit of the...
I don't know. I was a little confused about that, because she's kind of like, I'm gonna bring in...
Yeah, it was weird.
It's like, we need to call Shredder.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
Can you just call Shredder? Like, we're like, he's not in charge of this.
Yeah, but it made, I kind of was thinking about it later, and I wonder if he's not the one that's like with the one that was running this mutant program, maybe.
Yeah, maybe so. It was kind of refreshing to not see the Foot Clan at the, as much as I love the Foot Clan, like we've seen it so many times.
Yeah.
Shout out to Decaf Platypus Live.
What up, yo?
What up? How's it going?
We're doing good, bud. How you doing? We're just talking turtles. You seen Turtle, Decaf?
Awesome name, dude.
Yeah, heck
that
yeah.
should be one of the mutants they bring in the next one, Decaf Platypus mutant.
I mean, they set the table for that.
Sick.
If you would like, Vince, chime in here, because I know you saw it too. But Vince, actually, this question is for Vince. Vince, what did you think of the what was it, the Super Duper Fly? Because that was like right up your alley with the kaiju stuff, man.
Yeah, I'm looking through the cast, and I didn't realize half of these people played. I knew Ice Cube was Superfly, which was fantastic. I didn't realize that Post Malone was Ray Fillet. Paul Rudd was Mondo Gecko.
Yeah, Paul Rudd, I thought, kind of stole most of the scenes in a very Paul Rudd way.
And introducing Paul Rudd.
Dude,
that was his first film.
Yeah, introducing Paul Rudd. That was amazing.
That felt like a
is that what it said?
Like inside joke between Seth Rogen and Paul Rudd.
I texted Eli, I think yesterday, and I saw the movie on Saturday, and yesterday morning, like first thing in the morning, I was thinking about the movie, and when all the turtles were talking about bacon, egg, and cheese, and there was like a minute-long thing where they're like, yeah, bacon, egg, and cheese, I'm gangsta, bacon, eggs, and they just kept saying it differently, and I thought it was so funny, and that goes back to, I think, what Dave said. It felt like they were teenagers. It felt like they were just a bunch of kids just messing around the entire time, and although I'm a huge fan of the old movies, I never saw the frog one, but they never really felt like teenagers as much as they did in this movie.
Yeah,
and I was taken back by it. I absolutely loved it. I went by myself, but there was in my row there was a few dads and I'm guessing uncles bringing their kids in, and it was just a big group of like every age sitting there watching this movie and laughing, dude. People my age, people older, and then kids, and everyone loved it. I didn't stay. I'd never know if I'm supposed to stay for end credits after Marvel. I don't know if there was an end credit thing.
You can look before you go into a movie. There's like websites that will tell you, and it won't spoil it. It'll just say yes or no.
Is that where you guys got the Splinter thing?
Oh, the Shredder, yeah,
Shredder?
at the end.
Okay,
Yeah, it
yeah.
was, right? It was like
Yeah,
a mid credits or something.
and it was a mid credit, and we were waiting because we were waiting to see our friend's name in the credits.
Oh,
So we
nice.
were, because I don't know that I would have stayed either. I wouldn't have assumed.
I debated it, and you could tell everyone in the theater was like, "Do we go?
Well, do we go?
The music was fantastic in the movie, so I was kind of glad.
Yeah.
I was down to just kind of hang out and listen to it. I listened to it on my way home, and yeah, dude, I loved it. I thought it was.
I also
really
kind of like how thanks Decaf Platypus for well, he's pretty stoked. Decaf Platypus was stoked to have you on, Vince. Give you some time. So
Yeah, tell us how you know
got some
Vince.
support there.
If
Hey,
you have any incriminating stories, put those out there too.
Yeah, Decaf is a friend of Daner Danes.
Nice.
They all stream together. Decaf is a streamer. If anyone's watching and you
Did
want
you
to follow
guys
someone,
steal Pokemon cards together or anything going back?
no, we've played PUBG once or twice and some Diablo.
Ah,
Really helpful guy.
nice.
He streams and he's going to help me figure out how to do the audio stuff that I was telling you before we started.
Oh, sweet.
Dope.
Yeah,
Thanks,
so he
Decaf.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, like, one more thing with Turtles, like, that I thought was interesting is, like, it went really heavy into the idea of, like, that, going back to that they are teenagers, they just wanted to, like, live in the world. And,
Yeah.
like, every Turtles kind of hit that, like, to a certain extent, but this one really went hard into it. And I was thinking more about, like, that made it more make sense with Splinter also, because for most of the movie, like, Splinter is kind of just, like, this parent of, like, no, you can't do something, blah blah blah, no, like, but, like, it makes sense in that sense where it's like they were, like, so frustrated that they couldn't just, like, live life like how they wanted to. And he, I kind of related to Splinter as the parent being like, you got to also weigh the safety, and, like, it's just not realistic that you can do that. So I don't know, I thought that made it a little bit interesting too, and, like, particularly, like, for Leonardo's character of, like, trying to be this leader and knowing that, like, he should do the responsible thing, but also being pulled into being like, well, he's also 15 and he wants to just, like, hang out and, like, do stupid stuff.
Yeah. Did you also notice that they referenced in-game? They
Yeah.
I thought
Yeah.
that was cool too, like all that stuff, all the, like, pop culture and movie references that
With Mark
informed
Ruffalo.
them. Because that would be, that would also be teenagers. So yeah, I loved it. I'm gonna give this one 5 out of 5, dudes.
I did think it was a little weird that, if I sort of nitpick it, I did think it didn't quite make sense that, like, the entire reason that Splinter and the Turtles, like, were able to learn amazing martial arts was just from watching martial arts movies.
Yeah.
I kind of
did
love
think
that.
that was a little bit of a stretch, but whatever.
Dave, did you know that Eli, before seeing Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and I guess after, had never seen Ferris Bueller's Day Off?
Dude, I did know that. I learned that he hadn't seen it like probably 4 or 5 months ago, and it blew my mind. Dude.
Blew my
Dude,
mind,
we went
dude.
home that night because of Turtles, and I said, "This is the night." I just bought it on 4K.
I saw that you
4K.
bought it.
I was like, it's time. I'm gonna watch it. As a massive John Hughes fan, why I have never seen this movie,
Yeah.
I don't know. Obviously, I know what it is. I've seen sequences just throughout, American pop culture, and it being referenced so many times, Deadpool, all that stuff. But dude, I don't think I've ever seen a more anti-establishment movie in my entire life. And it's if it wasn't for Uncle Buck and Vacation, I would honestly say that I think Ferris Bueller's Day Off is, like, a complete masterpiece and was John Hughes's best. I mean, that, like, the scenes in the art studio where he's, like, framing the actors within the I was just, like, blown away at how awesome it was, and I felt like such an idiot just why that movie. There's certain movies that have eluded me through my entire life. I guess because when I was a kid, my dad was a massive John Hughes fan, so I watched all of those movies, and maybe, I don't know, that
Somehow a couple just slept through fell through the cracks,
Dude,
I guess. But
I even as
I'm
an
stoked
adult,
to at least have a few movies on you that I saw before you. I'm excited about that.
dude, I mean, there's a lot. I've seen Some Kind of Wonderful. Like, as I became an adult, I sought out watching Some Kind of Wonderful, and I love it. I think it's the superior Pretty in Pink movie. But I was blown. Like, I freaking Ferris Bueller's Day Off. I told Vince, I said, if I would have watched this when I was in junior high, I would be a different person than I am today. Because, like, I'm not fully committed to being a Ferris Bueller, but I have some Ferris Bueller in me,
Dude.
So I definitely, if there's one thing I could go back and do is watch that movie when I was younger.
I told Eli that, like, that's been me my whole entire life, like that movie, and just being
But
like
Cameron, though.
yeah, just a sad sack of shit. No, like I'll wake up and I'll have Ferris Bueller days where I'm like, I'm not fucking doing anything. I'm calling out. I'm gonna go drive and do something that I would never
But
do.
like Cameron's great because like he's still like halfway a rebel, but like he's like he needs someone like Ferris to like push him to the
Yeah.
extra level to like actually do it.
Dude, and his character,
He's also like the voice of reason at the same time.
Yeah,
but
you
his
need the
character
reason.
also makes it to where, because through a certain like through a certain lens, you could view the Ferris Bueller character as a manipulative asshole.
Oh,
But
yeah.
then, if it isn't for Sloane and Cameron, like they completely smooth out those rough edges, because you're like, oh, he really is. And I had the thought before he even goes the monologue about Cameron's like a tight ass, you know, like if you put a coal up his ass in like 7 days, you'd have a pristine diamond. Like you and like his performance is so good that you're like, oh, I believe it. I believe that he's pulling this guy out to try to, because he knows his. But I don't know. I loved it. 5 stars.
It was
Dude,
fantastic.
I'm glad you liked it. I
Me
was
too.
I was wondering. I'm like, dude, is he gonna like it? Like, I feel like it's been built up too much at this point.
Dude, no. I mean, it's pretty timeless, dude. I mean, it's got so many earmarks of the 80s, but I dug it so much. I just kept turning to Sarah and going, I can't, because Sarah loves it. Sarah's been telling me for years. Like, she's like, how do you like John Hughes and you've never seen the seminal John Hughes movie? And I'm just like, I don't know. But I just kept turning to her. I'm just like, I'm sorry.
Dude,
You've been right all these years.
probably one of the best Jeffrey Jones movies too.
100%.
He's so good in it, dude.
100%.
That and Stay Tuned, Dave. You got to watch that one.
Dude,
Dude,
dude, Charlie Sheen's part where he's in it for 4 minutes is like
As
almost
the bad
steals
boy,
entire
dude?
thing. Dude, he's so funny. Like,
It's so good.
it's like, oh, that's what people liked about Charlie Sheen. Okay, I get it now. But yeah, loved
Yeah.
it. Dave, what do you, just before we get too far off of track into our next thing, what did you give Turtles as far as a rating?
Somewhere between a 4 and a 4.5, maybe.
Okay.
Yeah, but I don't know. Yeah, I thought it was like, you know, really.
I bet it's a
awesome.
4. My guess is it's a 4, but it'll go up to a 4.5 on a second viewing.
Yeah, maybe so.
I'm at a 5, but I think it'll go up 5.5 after a second viewing, just because it was pretty dense. I mean, I don't mean in like length of time. The length of time was perfect. And
Mine's out of 20, so you know. It's
Whoa, there's a curveball. Didn't see that twist happening. But Vince, what do you give it?
I'm going 5, but what is the first first movie that we gave a 5 on here?
Super Mario Brothers.
Super Mario. I liked it better than Super Mario Brothers, so I'm downgrading Super
Wow.
Mario Brothers to 4.5 out of 20 to
downgraded.
still Dave's.
I mean,
and this one's going 5, dude.
Rising tides raise all boats, dude.
Yeah,
I
to
love
me,
that.
it's in a similar category of like being, you know, a property that you know in pop culture that easily could have been bad, but instead it was like the best version of itself, you know, or very close to that like you could get. And even people watching Mario Brothers now, like, you know, is it a complete masterpiece? Like, I don't know, but like you could watch that movie so many times and like be filled with joy like every time.
Yeah.
And,
And
that's,
I
like-
have.
and I do.
I've probably seen that movie 25
I don't
times.
have a child, so I haven't watched it 30 times. But
Half of those are Sarah, so she really liked Luigi's Mansion.
dude, I love Luigi's Mansion too,
That's
man.
great.
We played it together, the third Luigi's Mansion 3.
I hope we get a dedicated Luigi's Mansion movie.
So do
Yeah,
I,
it was
man.
like they cameoed enough in it. They gave us enough of it where like they
gave us-
kind of did it, but it's also like, dude, you could also do more with it.
They gave us a little bump so that we can't come back and go, I want the whole bag. Give me that whole bag.
Decaf Platypus says Mario Brothers 1993 masterpiece.
My man.
I mean, I was gonna say, you know, that's why I was hesitant to give it a masterpiece, because it could never be the 1993 Mario Brothers.
It's true. Nothing can though. That's an
no.
impossible mountain to climb. All right, cool. So we're into it now. I you know, as we know, Barbie has been a massive hit, the biggest hit of the year so far. Is that and Mario, I think, are the only 2 movies this whole year to break $1 billion, which is nuts. Which is freaking nuts, because we've had multiple, you know, big budget action movies.
Yeah, it's like
this
the
year.
era of Star Wars and Marvel is perhaps over. As far
Yeah, it might
as-
be. I think people are done with sequels. That's my you know, anyway, I'm gonna go off on a tangent. Anyway, in the spirit of Barbie, I wanted to bring in, you know, there's a writer's strike going on, so I've been working really hard. Barbie really inspired me, you know, to develop what's the next thing. what's the next toy movie they're gonna want. I've seen headlines that they're doing a Polly Pocket with Leah Dunham. We'll see. And
Instant
then
$1 billion.
instant bill. I mean, I'll go see it. Don't get me wrong. I will
Hey,
definitely see it.
equal opportunity. Where is the Mighty Max movie, dude? If you're
Can-
gonna do Polly Pocket, you got to give the boys Mighty Max because I had Mighty Maxes.
Well, they'll get there. Let them build out the Polyverse, dude. All right.
All right, fine.
I remember how Mad Max tastes, which is a strange memory. I'm just
Mad
gonna
Max?
throw. No, what is it?
Do you
The
taste Mad
Mighty
Max
Max?
that often?
Wait,
What-
how did you?
Whatever the toy was, because it was
I
like
wanna
the
ask.
the skull that opened up.
Yeah.
I
I
would French kiss it.
I remember like. Maybe I divulged too much, but I remember like chewing
Paige, go
on
get
it.
your boy.
I remember
You're gonna have
chewing
to
on the
fully
pieces,
explain
dude.
this now,
I have
dude.
plastic
What it-
poisoning for sure, dude. I'll see you guys later.
I mean, what do they taste like?
You got plastic poisoning from those homemade
Straight up
water
plastic.
pipes that you were MacGyvering there for a while. Yeah. Anyway, so there's a whole bunch of movies coming out that you're reading about, but I don't think anybody's really pegged the market. I actually, the writer's strike is going on. Like I said, the studios are ravenous for new ideas. So I have a couple meetings in the next couple days with a couple studios. I'm not afraid to be a scab. I'm not in the WGA, and I am not
Wow.
afraid to cross the line. Call me a scab. Does it hurt? Absolutely. Is it the best insult that any organized body could have come up with? Sure. But I'm going to walk those lines, and I wanted to bring in the 3 best pitches that I have to you guys and just see what you think. I asked Vince to work his prompt magic and come up with some key art for these pitches, these proposals. If my proposals and my synopsis.
Synopsis. What's the plural on that, dude?
Yeah.
There's a Mystery Men quote, dude. It's a
Is it?
plural.
Did I
Remember
fall
when
into it?
he's all you're a nemesis, my nemesis.
Oh yeah.
The plural on that? Nemesis.
Nemesis.
All right,
Oh, yeah.
anyway, sorry.
Casanova Frankenstein says that.
Yeah.
Nemesis.
Oh yes, you may, and you may most certainly bring the brewskis.
Brewskis. Dude, I have the story behind that too. But anyway, so I'm going to pitch you the 3 best that I think I have. I'd really love your guys' feedback. Again, I'm nervous, but I really think some of these have merit, and I really think some of these, it could be the next $1 billion toy movie. So
All right.
if you guys are ready, I'd like to proceed.
I don't know which poster is the first one on the list, and I don't want to ruin them and shuffle through them. So let me throw up the first poster, and then you just do
Sure.
the story on that one.
Not to be your lawyer about this, but do you hold the rights to these toys, or who is it? Mattel? Like, is it?
I don't know, but somebody once told me just assume everything's in the public domain. So I'm going on a limb here. I'm taking it on faith. But I'm sure if Warner Brothers wants to greenlight this, I'm sure these companies will be like, yeah, let's let them do whatever they want with these IPs. All right, Vince, hit me.
All right, here's the first one.
Okay, this is actually the first one, so you're right on. So the name of this
Oh,
movie,
so good, dude.
you guessed it, it's based on Silly Putty. It's called Silly Putty: The Rise of Silly. The tagline is the toy with one part finds his heart. Now, I don't know if you guys out there, I don't know if anybody in the chat, Dave, I don't know if you know this, but the tagline for Silly Putty when it first came out was the toy with one part, which is the dullest tagline of all time, but I felt like we could really incorporate it for those old, for those people that were alive when Silly Putty was first invented. It'll draw on their nostalgia, dude. So right there, you're going right at their heart.
How
for
old are
nostalgia.
they now?
They're probably in their mid-70s.
Okay.
But they're like World War II veterans. Like, love them while they're still here,
Yeah. Okay. So, all right. So this is the poster that you mocked up. I like this. So is this also part of your sort of being a scab? Did you go to Did you
Yep.
get help from AI also to
100%.
create
I mean,
this? Okay.
yeah, and that's really my pitch too. Is like, not only are you hiring me to come on and make this movie, but you're also hiring AI to do it as well. And I know that they've all got boners for AI up there at the movie studios. So I really just want to, I want to hit it. I think it's the right time to introduce it.
After Secret Invasion, everyone's in full support of AI being the artist of the future.
Absolutely.
This looks great though, dude. I mean, this makes me nostalgic for wanting to like touch Play-Doh and like it looks like that guy's about to step into a field of Play-Doh.
Yeah.
Just feeling it, in between his toes.
Yeah, for sure.
Vince probably ate a lot of Play-Doh in his day, so he probably knows. He's probably nostalgic for the taste of it.
I'm not going to
I
go as
know
far
how
as to
this
say it's a
tastes.
fantasy, but I'd love to, bathe in silly putty at some point in my life. I think that's okay. It's only
You
got one
might
part.
suffocate, but it would feel amazing.
I'll punch some holes.
It looks like there's like, who is that sitting in the throne? It looks like it's like a founding father or
Well,
something.
you
What
just
is
set
that?
up. Let me get to the synopsis.
Okay.
You set up the perfect, because my synopsis is going to tell you who that is. So the tagline is, the toy with one part finds his heart. The director I have in mind, and despite what everybody tells you, movie studios love when you suggest a director that should direct it based on an elevator whatever pitch. So this one is called Silly Putty: The Rise of Silly. A young silly putty youth named Silica, or Sil, is trying to find his way in the land of Silly. His father, the great king Sir Salonius Puttius III, wants Sil to spend his time studying how to be a great leader so that he can take his rightful place on the throne and rule as a great leader in the land of Silly. Sil, a talented comedian, wants to give up his throne to pursue a career in stand-up comedy, something his father will never understand. In the shadows, Sil's sister Elastia is envious of King Puttius's love and attention of Sil, and resents Sil's choice to deny the throne and pursue his own path. Consumed with hatred, Elastia makes a deal with the king of the underworld, Clay, who wants nothing more than to take control of the land of Silly and make it more malleable. Clay devises a plan to take over the land of Silly by leaving all the citizens of Silly out in the open air for 24 hours, causing the whole world to dry out. Unbeknownst to her, Elastia is integral to his plan. Can Sil put his sad sack art kid tears behind him and defend the throne against the forces of Elastia and Clay? Give me the budget and you can find out.
Wow, dude, what's your budget for that?
I'm thinking a cool 60 to 70 million. I don't want to get too crazy,
Okay.
A lot of people are like, well, that's a lot of silly putty, but let's be honest, a lot of it would be CG.
With inflation too, I mean that's the equivalent of like 10 million 5 years ago. So that's really not that bad.
Yeah, so I can see Emma Stone, being a mocap playing Elastia. And I really tried to stick with the the theme of like stretching, basically all the things that the silly putties are. I felt like that's pretty grounded.
I like the puns, puns that you had in there really got me. And the fact that it seems pretty deep, that we're all trying to stretch and find, mold ourselves into our best selves.
You know what? That could very well be the tagline itself. So I'm glad that you got it, man. That's great. All right, Vince, hit us with that second one, please.
Also, his nickname of Sil really, it made me relate to him a lot when you gave him that nickname. I was like, oh, he seems like a normal guy.
Yeah, well, silica is actually one of the main ingredients in silly putty. There's a fun fact, some behind the scenes.
Did not know.
That's an IMDb trivia. All right,
dude, this looks amazing. What?
Yeah. So this one, I don't know, might be anime, might be animation, might be live action. Haven't decided yet, but it's called Pog the Movie.
Yes. This movie is 30 years in the making, dude.
Yeah, absolutely. I can't believe. I mean, this idea is a sitting duck. I can't believe somebody didn't come up with it. So the tagline for this one, Pogs the Movie, is in 1995, they played for keeps. I'm thinking of Zack Snyder for this one. When I think of this movie, when I think of how many slow-mo scenes are you going to need for stacks of Pogs, dude?
That's true, a lot.
The Pogs themselves will be characters in this movie.
Do you need massive desaturation, though? Maybe.
Yeah, there's a version that I'm going to pitch that they can release called Pogs the Movie, black and white, where they just strip all the color out of it. All the things you really, if you were to find a Zack Snyder film enjoyable, all the stuff you find enjoyable just taken right out of it. So that's, but let me get to this pitch. Let me get to the actual, I don't know. And I don't know if you have a different director in mind. If you don't think Zack Snyder fits the mold on this, you tell me. Get it? Mold? That's a callback to the first pitch. All right.
Nice.
Pogs the Movie. The year is 1995, and Pogs are at their peak popularity. During a highly contested Pogs match, Kelly, a teen, powerful female character, beats a powerful wizard who has enchanted his Pogs with a disillusionment charm. Kelly only plays for keeps, so she wins all the enchanted Pogs from the old wizard. This works out well for a while as Kelly takes these enchanted bottle caps to school and goes on a winning streak, unlike anything Millard Fillmore Elementary has ever seen. In her arrogance, Kelly agrees to enter a tournament, the biggest national tournament of all time, the Slammer Jammer. The night before the Slammer Jammer, Kelly realizes that her enchanted pogs are imbued with the power to shrink. While training for the tournament, one of these pogs shrinks her down to the size of a pog. Kelly wakes up in Mount Pog, the land of pogs. That's a lot of... We're going to just say pog as much as we possibly can in this movie. Kelly wakes up in Mount Pog, the land of pogs. As she traverses this new land, she discovers the oppression that the working class pogs endure, all thanks to the capitalist-loving Slammer Corporation overlords. Can Kelly help the working class pogs and save them from the Slammer Corps and get home in time to dominate the Slammer Jammer?
Wow. I don't know. Yeah, that sounds. I mean, it's it's like a play on social economics structure, right? Like the class system.
That's. I mean, you nailed it, dude. I mean, you're really
seems
getting...
really deep, man.
Because I don't think, like, for me, it was always a battle of, like, my school outlawing pogs, or they're like, you can play pogs, but you can't play for keeps. And we're like, well, what's the point? What is this exhibition?
Yeah, and then it was like, what do you like? Then you would actually go to the playground and you'd be like, what, are you gonna be a bitch and not play for keeps?
What are you gonna tell on everybody? You're gonna tell on the pog ring? Huh? There's 20 of us. All right. So yeah,
I remember being in second grade, especially like also like marbles. It would be like a similar thing where like it'd be like, dude, if you played for keeps, like it was the most nervous I've ever felt in my entire life.
It was gambling,
keeps, dude.
I mean, it's gambling for little
It's
kids.
worse than gambling, dude.
It's Vin Diesel and Fast and Furious.
Because you can't go out and get more. Like your parents, you have to wait till their birthday to get more. Like it's gone. They're gone.
Or you can ask your mom and dad, hey, can I buy some pogs? And the dreaded thing they're gonna ask is, what happened to the last round of pogs I bought you? And then you have to come up with like, well,
Michael down the street has them.
And then when your parents figure out the terminology, like, oh, they're playing for keeps, that was always the question too. Is like, my dad would be like, yeah, you can play pogs at church, but just can't play for keeps, as if we're casting lots, in the back of the church.
Dude,
but yeah, so I think this one has, I think this could be a big, huge action adventure summer blockbuster. I think it goes somewhere. It tells a story. We can leave it open-ended, for sequel opportunities, and there's prequel opportunities too.
It's creating like the Pogverse, basically.
Yeah, 100% the Pogverse, dude.
Hire Jack Black as the Slammer.
Yeah, that's great, dude.
Right?
That's great.
I have a question.
Yeah.
What kind of Pog kids were you? Did you guys just have loose Pogs in the backpack, or did you have the thick plastic Pog sleeves?
Oh, the thick plastics, dude.
Oh, I had the circular one.
Yeah.
Like, the circle ones, right?
And they were like
pop off
neon purple.
Dude. I felt like such a boss popping
Dude,
those cylinders out of my backpack.
I had one girl on the street that had a Pog maker, and she was like just instantly the most popular person in the neighborhood.
Oh yeah,
A
dude.
rich person. Where did her dad
Dude, yeah.
work?
Bowen.
I don't know. They also had a Super Nintendo, so I mean, I went to their house. I tried to go to their house every day, dude.
That's crazy, dude.
How do you have a Pog maker and a Super Nintendo? Although I will say that I had a creepy crawler maker.
Me too.
The creeper crawler ovens.
Yeah,
I had that, dude.
I remember how that
green and
tastes.
orange.
Did
you burn your hands to shit like I did, dude? Just wrecking that thing?
No, because I wasn't an idiot. But
well, I would put my hand directly in and go, well, if it can do that to creepy crawlers, what can it do to my hand? And every time it just burned me.
What if you put your hand in and it just turned into a creepy, like made of creepy crawler?
Oh, dude, that's gonna be part of the pitch now.
Dude, that's the next
like a
one.
body horror movie with creepy. You just call it.
That's the sequel. You could bring in creepy crawlers as the antagonist of the second one.
Dude, that would make a great short.
Hold up.
Peachtree had a Pog maker.
What?
Pog maker. Wow.
And a Super Nintendo. Did you grow up with Peachtree?
Holy crap, dude.
Dude, we got a bunch of rich kids in the chat,
Dude,
huh?
You were styling. Did you have Mortal Kombat 2?
She had the
decaf platypus.
Did you sleep in a Ferrari bed frame too?
I had the creepy crawler. My sister had an easy bake oven. Oh, dude! So you guys just baked together all day? You just like made amazing shit.
So your parents love gender roles. That's what I'm hearing.
Did you try to put the creepy crawlers like in the easy bake? Because you could eat from the easy bake ovens, right? Like you could actually eat that stuff.
Oh yeah,
I
did.
Oh
dude,
yeah, those brownies.
Did you eat creepy crawlers ever?
No, but they did make a creepy crawler that was like a candy creepy crawler.
They weren't all candy.
They
Decap platypus. That's no death for veterans. Okay.
I went army men in these. That's very unpatriotic.
So you were the Sid of your neighborhood then. That's what I mean.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
All right. Well, this is great. I love it. It makes me remember my slammers. I had a 6 slammer that was like huge. I think I got it from Knott's Berry Farm, but it was like,
I had one too, dude.
super freaking heavy, and it had a hologram of a dinosaur in it.
Dude,
I
why did we
probably
get
have
rid
it
of these?
somewhere, dude.
Why did we get? Oh, find it.
I have it somewhere. It was
Dude,
so heavy, dude.
Pogs was the greatest thing ever. And then in the case, do you remember the setup where it was like you'd put all your Pogs, and then at the top were all the slammers? You'd stack those slammers up.
It was top heavy.
Dude,
Dude, I think
right.
honestly, I think we could bring Pogs back and make it like a bar thing, and just dudes playing Pogs in the back of the bar.
Dude, I bet Gen Z would be into Pogs.
Could you make an app?
Because they're Gen Z into stuff that's like they can't really explain.
Hear me out.
Cool.
No app, and you can't take pictures. You can't talk about it. It's like Fight Club.
Hear me out.
It's
you
Pog
sell
Club.
Pog packs, but there's a QR code that scans into an app, and then you have the digital version of those Pogs. Dude, and then you can make it like Pokemon Go, where depending where you're at, there's special Pogs, and they change every hour. So you can get like unique Pogs. Dude, Gen Z would be all over that.
Only with the app, you could download those specific geolocation Pogs and then print them on Page's homemade Pog printer.
I'm talking in the digital space.
No
where
digital
everybody
Pogs.
is now.
That defeats
So they're like NTF Pogs?
Yeah, and you can print them.
Why would you want to print them?
So you can play Pogs.
Why would you want to print them? So you're the kid that printed Pogs back in '95 and then came and tried to really present them as if they were real Pogs. But everybody knew that was bullshit.
Dude, you were causing inflation within the Pog market by printing your own Pogs.
It's like the fake Pokemon cards.
Pogs without consequences.
Did you ever know anyone that had the fake Pokemon cards where you're like, wait, this is a fucking sticker, dude?
Oh, dude, yeah.
I stole so many of those.
I never knew anybody that tried to pass one off, but I did hear tales of it.
All right, guys, I got one more pitch. Last one.
Wait, I just wanted to see the last. I just wanted to say I have a tagline for this movie. It could be "Get ready to flip out."
I don't know that really matches the tone, but like I'm going for.
If it was a slapstick comedy, you could definitely do that, and it would be amazing.
SummerSlam.
That is a great tagline.
SummerSlam. All right, but but seriously, I think we should create our own bar. And call it
Pogs.
Call it Pogs, dude.
Decaf Platypus had a good idea. You could call one of the cocktails you sell could be called the Slammer or Slammered, and you could have a slammer at the bottom of it.
It's a choking hazard,
dude. I think
it's a choking hazard. You got to sign a waiver, but still,
I like it.
We call it Pogs, dude. We're getting multiple kinds of people coming in there. People that know what Pogs are and people that don't.
Peachtree's with me. All right, let's hear your last.
Petrie, thanks for backing me up on that one too. Thanks for making my app.
No fucking app for Pogs, dude. That defeats the purpose.
Dude, you don't understand Gen Z, dude.
We'll talk about this later.
All right, last one. So this one is it's called Marbles: The Boulder. The tagline is "Just roll with it," and the director is Darren Aronofsky. So this one it's a movie about marbles. And it would be a reclusive, morbidly obese Boulder marble attempts to reconnect with his strange cat's eye marble teenage daughter. I thought that was pretty succinct.
Wow. Oh, is that it? That's it.
That's it.
Short
That's
and
an
sweet.
Oscar winner.
So you're planning that all your time is going to be taken up by people talking about the Pogs idea, and then you're not going to have too much time for this one. Probably.
Well, I do. I mean, that's kind of what just happened in this bit. So I think in hindsight, it was a good choice.
I think marbles, they're like the cousin of Pogs. So, potentially this could be a sequel, maybe. Okay, but check it out. I got a tagline for this one. When you play for keeps, you might lose your marbles. Think about it. It's symbolic because of the phrase "you lose your marbles."
It's great. Don't get me wrong.
But we're talking about physical marbles in this movie. It means,
I kind of just feel like "Don't lose your marbles" is pretty great too. It's straight to the point.
Okay.
Yeah. So that one, I just I know that these kind of art house pictures. This is the art house version. And
this is the A24.
Yeah, exactly. The A24. We're gonna make it dark and gritty. Why can't this Boulder connect with his cat's eye teenage daughter? He eats too much, and he just sits in a chair, and you're not sure why you should like him. So that's my pitch, guys.
That's an amazing pitch, dude.
Thank
That's
you,
great.
dude.
You shouldn't change anything about it. You should just walk in and go with that for sure.
I think the clear winner here tonight, just based on the market research I've done here and talking, Pogs is the way to go, dude.
Pogs, but this is definitely the best, like funniest image I think I've made so far.
That's awesome. Yeah.
Plus, we're
love it.
gonna open a bar, and this is gonna be the logo. Go back to that poster, Vince.
Maybe there's a villain. Maybe the villain in it is called Cat's Eye, and it's a cat missing an eye.
See, I get what you're going for, but this is an indie flick, okay? His antagonist is himself, and that's
right. I forgot it was A24.
Well, that and God.
It's got to be
God.
really deep. That's right.
He's not lashing out at himself. He's lashing out at God, and that's what this whole thing's about. You know,
his lot in life that he was given.
He's like,
right?
why
He's
me,
fighting
God?
against his destiny.
Why did you bless me with being a marble? But yeah. Anyway, so thank you for listening. Thanks, chat, for listening. I appreciate that. Thanks, Vince.
That was a good pitch,
for doing
dude.
the art. I really do want that Pog the movie poster though printed out and put on my wall. That's pretty dope, dude. They also look like falling condoms, so that's hilarious.
Yeah, some of them are floppy.
do.
Some of them.
Maybe there could be an alternate rated R version where they're condoms instead of Pogs.
It's all condoms, the movie.
It's just some like old dude. He's all, you guys like Pogs?
Dude, we're not far off from Condom the movie. Eventually everything else is going to be attempted, dude.
Protect yourself.
It's going to be called Magnum.
Magnum dong.
PI. All right, that's all I got.
good.
That's all I got.
That's my pitch. Thank you for listening.
Those are great, dude. I think really good. Yeah, again, just going cold. Don't even like put a slideshow together. Just go with that.
I'm not even gonna drink coffee that morning. I'm just gonna roll in like it's expected.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that's the way to go.
Nice.
All right.
Well, anybody else have any? Peachtree says, no, the marble, don't lose your marbles is not a good tagline. The marbles, you'll roll with laughter. I see where you're going with that. That's good.
Roll call, Peachtree. Roll call. But it would be roll ROLL. That's the only thing.
Now I'm just going to think of marble puns for the next 3 hours. Keep on rolling, and it could star Fred Durst.
Dude, and we get Limp Bizkit to do the soundtrack.
Rolling.
Right. Dude,
come on.
Dude, no joke, Gen Z would love that, dude. They'd be like, it's throwback to 99. The millennial
prehistoric era. Well,
The marble.
we're at an hour.
Don't take her for granted.
We took some extra time with that Pee Wee.
We went off on Pee Wee, dude.
We did go off. It was needed.
Well, we still are pretty good on time. We're an hour 10. Dave, you had some toys that you were bringing up. Do you want to transition to those?
Okay, so I heard about the pitch. I was trying to keep with the toy dynamic. I found some I randomly stumbled on this. I had this memory of my great grandma and her house. Like she used to collect clowns, and she had a clown room that was nothing but clowns, dude. Like packed wall to walls. It's probably more epic in my mind because it was 4, but she had some of the most creepy clowns I could ever think of. And it made me think what other creepy toys are there from turn of the century over to through the 50s. And so yeah, here's just some weird toys that I found. What's the first one, Vince? I don't remember. Okay, so this is a Jack in the Box, but I wanted to get you guys' take on this. What would you do if you saw this? If you went in a room and this thing was the only thing in the room, it was just sitting in the middle, staring at you like this, what would you do? How would you react?
Well,
if it was in the box, would you go ahead and what's it called? Do the Jack in the Box thing to
crank
pop
the
it
shaft?
Up? Would you crank it? Would you crank or would you not?
I'd absolutely crank it. To me, looking at this picture, it's definitely scary. It's definitely terrifying. I also feel like it's racist. I don't know how, but I get the vibe that They're being disrespectful to another culture somehow. I don't
It
know.
is a
Maybe that's
little bit geisha-esque. So
Yeah.
maybe that's I
Yeah.
can see that.
But it just makes you wonder, man. It's like, what were they doing back then? Is this because they didn't have the internet? Is that why they had to live in like dedicate a room full of creepy things like this? That's the only reason you buy stuff, because they're like, oh, I'm living in an era without the internet. I don't have any entertainment. Let's buy some creepy shit.
But I'm so glad for that clown room, because I feel like, again, it's like the Pee Wee thing, right? To take it back, like when I experienced that, I was just weirded out and freaked out, and it got me having these other feelings that I think stimulated my imagination. And I think if I saw this, I'd be
It sounds like you have a little clown kink. That's what it sounds. It sounds a little bit like that.
maybe
That's fine. I mean,
maybe
yeah,
I should go with that.
So what you're saying is Dave definitely would crank it.
yeah. Dude.
If I was pitching this film, it would be called "Would You Crank It?"
And it's just a box, and then it's just you. You got to
That's
create
the marketing, dude. That's amazing marketing.
You got to create like a creepy, like man in the city interview character where you're like, "Would you crank it?" And you just walk up to random people with the box and just see, like, because you'd have couples that like the woman's like, "I don't want to
Would
crank
you
it," and then the guy's like, "I'll crank it, babe," and then you can get their reactions. That'd be
You
awesome.
would, and then make sure if they chose to crank it, you'd make sure they regretted it.
And then you give them a shirt that said, "Yep, I cranked it."
Or it could be a T-Pain song that's like, "Would you crank it? Would you crank it?"
They're like, "Yeah, all this fanfare, sure. I didn't expect all this. All right, yeah, here you go." Yeah,
Maybe it's a
definitely
Black
creepy.
Mirror episode somehow.
Also, the creepiest part is the unibrow on that thing, dude. It's not playing around.
Yeah, it's like a clown unibrow. And like, what is it looking at? It looks like it's looking off to the left at something. It's like there's something behind you that it's looking at, that it's getting enjoyment out of, and you can't see it.
It's looking at the other demon toys in the same playroom
It's
because
like-
he's like, yeah, we got control, boys. Eh?
It's like,
They got no idea.
it's like, see these 3 children on my box? I stole their souls.
I'm gonna influence this kid to smoke unfiltered cigarettes. All right.
All right. Let's go to the next one. We should decide which one is the weirdest, I guess. Okay, this one is like way worse, dude.
I mean, Tim Burton had this as a kid. Like,
Dude,
this was probably the plushie they gave him.
this is a legit toy. Little Miss No Name, dude. The doll with the tear, or was it the tear? The doll with the tear?
She killed
Are
someone.
these all from? Are these all
That's
American made?
horrible. It says on the box, I need someone to love me. I want to learn to play. Please take me home with you and brush my tear away.
Whoa, dude.
What, dude?
There's something dark going on here, man.
Look at its eyes. It's like half insect.
That tear, like that, those eyes indicate that doll has seen some stuff, dude.
Dude.
Like, ugh. Can you
Oh,
imagine?
okay, it has a tear. I see the tear now. The tears below its eye. Okay, so it is a tear.
I mean,
But it's also in rags, and it looks like it could be a tear on its clothes. I don't know, dude.
it's pretty
maybe it's
bad. It's pretty bad.
I don't know. And it's wearing like literal like rags, like an apple bag or something, a potato bag.
Like, is this like if you want your kid to play like they're a dungeon master or something? I don't know. It's weird. Can't put my finger on it, dude.
Decaf Platypus says, teardrop tattoo. Did this doll do some time? Dude, it is. It legit is. Like, I feel like okay, what year is this? We have to know what year this is. I think it's the 60s. I think I remember it was the 60s. But like, is somebody trolling with this?
Dude, whoever it was ahead of their time.
I don't know. Well, it looks like she has a tear, but then also a tear in her dress. Okay, yeah, I literally said that. That's crazy. Okay. So it is. It's like, anyway, all right, let's go to the next one, Vince. That might have been the worst one. I don't know. These are just all very weird. Oh, okay. Okay, this one's weird.
I mean,
Okay,
this one is definitely weird. It's less weird because I kind of understand what the context and what they're trying to go for here. Like,
unlike the last one, yeah, at least you kind of see what they were going for, maybe.
Like they shot their shot and missed the target completely.
Or they just use that as an excuse to just do the weirdest shit ever possible.
Yeah, I mean,
pregnant Barbie. Yeah, that's true. I mean, I appreciate the inclusiveness to make a pregnant knockoff Barbie because I don't think it's a real Barbie.
I'll tell you what. Yeah, that's the other thing is like, is this a third party? If somebody did this to the Barbie, then it makes it vastly weirder. If this was an attempt for
Yeah.
Barbie in like the late 60s to be progressive or something, I don't know. I could be abortion Barbie too. Who knows? But
late stage abortion Barbie.
dude, for the Eastern seaboard, dude.
Oh,
This was Flush It Barbie, wasn't it?
It was what?
Flush It Barbie.
Is it? Is it really?
No.
No, dude.
Oh, God.
He's making a poor abortion joke.
Oh God.
He's making an abortion joke in poor taste. But yeah, that's I don't know.
Make this cancel Vince.
I don't know. This is I'll tell you what, it's worth more if you still have the baby in womb though. I know that. The resale value of this thing, if it's
It'd be
vintage, worth
amazing
money.
if you could you could swap the Barbie out for like a creepy alien. That
Oh
would
yeah,
be-
you can modify
or like
this thing.
like the Antichrist. That would be amazing. It'd be like Antichrist Barbie.
Put a gremlin in there. Make it fun. Make it spirited. I don't like looking at it though. I know that much. That's
The Barbie kind of looks like it's dead. She's dead inside too.
Well, what
She's
is the-
kinda just like
the baby from my perspective looks like he's wearing David Bowie makeup and he's looking off. He's looking out of the womb. To like what the hell is going on? Why would they make this doll?
he's all. Can everyone see me right now?
He's all, are we in Canada?
All right, let's go to the next one.
Dude.
Oh, you can see her belly. I just noticed her belly off to the side too. Okay, yeah, okay. This one maybe isn't as bad, but it's like subtly creepy.
Well, why do they have to give the monkey human eyes with human eyelashes? That's where it's creepy.
Yeah, those dude, and like lipstick. It's like a hot. It's like
It's a hot monkey
hot
toy,
monkey?
dude.
I don't know.
Zip is a sexy little bastard.
This is Zip. Do you know where Zap is?
Come give me a hug. I don't like where that monkey's positioned with my picture behind him. I'll tell you that much. Looks like I'm
Yeah,
getting a
I
zip,
like
if
that.
you know what I'm saying.
Yeah, I don't know. This is like some kind of weird blow up doll situation.
That's
I
like
don't know about.
That's like a
Oh God.
that's like a sex doll, dude. Before
All right. Lastly, yeah, I don't know what exactly this is. I think it's from like the 20s. I don't even know. I think it was like a makeup holder or something. Like you could store things inside. But dude,
put your
why?
mascara in my mouth.
Dude, why?
It looks like Fatty Arbuckle. That's the thing that's freaking me out the most. It looks like Roscoe Fatty Arbuckle, and it looks like a toy that's like, ah, I'm in the 20s, get me out. But it looks like
Yes.
if that was a doll, it's like in the 20s, if they had a doll that was like, bring a new member of your family home, treat him like he's one of the family, and he's just like your uncle that sits at the table and they all like talk to him. I don't know, dude. There's a lot going on with this one.
It kind of looks like a Buddha a little bit, but then also it has like sharp teeth.
It looks
somehow.
like Buddha if he was from a Rust Belt state, dude. Like if he was
if he was inbred, like inbred or something.
he looks like Buddha if Buddha just got home from his day at the mill and was telling you why you should vote Republican or something. Like he's in the middle of, or no, he's like
He's
talking
all
about, he's all, we should have a union, damn it.
He's all, you ain't no liberal, are you?
He's all, this is Kenosha, god damn it.
He's all, you're gonna convert or what? Either you rub my belly and I make you lucky, or I shoot you right now.
He's all, everybody wants Nirvana, but try working in a mill for 12 hours a day. You're not going to find it.
Try ingesting sawdust.
I think this one's a
I'll
creepy.
zip, I'll zip anything once. I'll try out some zip.
That's an
You
open
know?
mind, my man.
I'm not gonna zop, but I might
Yeah.
zip once in a while.
Well, zipping is just experimentation. If you zip and zop, that's a lifestyle.
Then
Then you're committed. I don't know. I think the first one is probably still the creepiest.
yeah,
Vince, can you throw the first one back up?
yeah, we might have started with the craziest one. The Eli being on the Eli makes it a little creepier. Oh, now they're all on Eli.
It's like I'm getting a lap dance from.
There's something about this one that's just like subtly just devious.
You know what it is? The look on his face is like, I know something that everybody else in this room does not know.
Yeah,
And
he's
it
like
gives me power over them.
He's like smug, dude.
Yeah.
Like, there's some kind of smugness.
He's like, I'm gonna go influence a war. Yeah.
I don't know. What do you guys vote for?
This is my vote for sure.
I'm kind of maybe not the bar. I was gonna say maybe the Barbie, the fake Barbie, but maybe not.
Are we voting for the creepiest?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Definitely this. If I walked into a room and this just happened to be in there, I would be a little freaked out for sure. If Zip was
if
in
you-
there, I would be dope, dude.
yeah. Zip
would be a good time.
Zip kind of gets creepier the more you look at it.
Yeah.
But I think if you saw it, you wouldn't think too hard about it.
Zip gets creepier the more you question what is Zip's purpose. Like, what if he is a toy? What is he there to play with? You know?
Yeah, that's kind of more what I'm wondering. Like, what Vince? What if you walked in the room and this was there, just sitting in the center, and then it just started singing to you and went. What would you do?
Real sultry like that, where it's like,
Oh yeah. Good night, Vince.
Honestly,
like
if
real
it was
sexy, dude.
hit me with that again, Dave.
Like really distinct, like words. Like,
But it was like ASMR where you could feel the breath just push up on your earlobe, dude.
He's like scatting it.
yeah, pseudo jazz, dude. He's all
Dude, he's Satan the scat clown, dude. And that's what he offers. He tempts people through his scatting, dude. And they like once he does it, that you can't get any control over yourself. He has you.
That has to be the next movie.
You should kill your neighbor.
Well, I didn't catch that.
You should bomb a bank.
Scooter the scat clown, dude. Oh, I love
Yeah,
it.
he's number one creep, dude.
It's by Curious George. That checks out.
Good shit.
All right.
Good
Well,
times. Well, hey, thanks everyone. We hope we enlightened you. And hey, go check out our podcast, Chance and Pinner Skipping Through the End Times, our sketch comedy podcast.
it's a full album actually. It's on Spotify. We worked hard on it, and we sort of just keep forgetting to ask people to check it out.
Yeah, but it's really good. If we do say so ourselves, we're starting to talk and plan a season 2. So we're really excited about that. We'd love for you to go check it out, leave feedback, and I'm talking straight to Decaf here. All right, Decaf. I don't know if you listen to our podcast or not, but I would love for you to listen and to come back next week and tell us what you think.
And if you think it's bad and want to shit talk us, that's just as good, dude. Like,
if you think
we'll
it's bad,
take
don't come back.
We'll take any press, even bad press.
You can think it's bad, but you just have to keep it to yourself, okay?
You can say bad things about it, but you have to say one good to neutral thing for each bad thing you say.
Yeah.
to
And you also
do that.
have to be, in your telling us it's bad, you have to also be self-deprecating, if that makes sense. So
you have to
you're
say one thing that you despise about yourself. Where's my camera?
is it Dave's camera focus? Is that?
It's like this.
Oh,
Whoa.
oh my God! Scooter the Scat Clown's guy. He's all turning off your mind.
He's all, you forgot I was here, didn't you?
It's slowly turning into the Doug song.
He's all, no, that's what he does. He plays on pop culture. He's like, do 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 do, kill your neighbor's wife, do do do, and it's just like, whoa.
You're like, wait, this Jack in the Box is clearly not from the 90s. Why does
He
he make
adapts.
The 1890s.
Doug's theme song?
He reinvents himself in time. All right, everybody, thanks for joining us. We'll be here back next week. We're back on track here. Nobody's getting sick. Vince is taking vitamin C. Thanks, producer Vince, for all the work and all the art and making everything cool and better. Thank you.
Thanks for hanging out, guys. Thanks, Peachtree, for hanging out like always. Producer's producer, Decaf Platypus. Awesome having you, dude.
Yeah, tell
This
your
is it was really fun, dude, having you part of it.
and we talked last week, but we got to come on. We got to jump on a Daner Dane and maybe a Decaf Platypus
Stream.
Just let us know. But anyway,
Yeah,
we'll see you next week. Thanks, everybody.
Bye, everybody. Kill your wife?
It's not me. It's Scooter the Scat Clown, dude.
It's me, Scooter the Scat Clown.
He's like, hey, he's like Andy Dick. He's like, hey, it's me, Scooter the Scat Clown.
He's all been here the whole time. I heard you talking, and I think you should kill your wife. What? Did I say that? Oh my god.
Oh my god, I'm so naughty.
I'm totally
Ah.
joking. Am I joking? I might not be joking.
I'm gonna go in the bathroom and do some meth, and it's gonna be your meth in your bathroom.
Well, Andy Dick, why are you in my house? You need to leave.
It's all the Andy Dick Show, everybody.
Andy Dick, number one, where were you the last 15 years? Why aren't you in any movies? Secondly, you need to leave my house, dude.
Look, Andy, all right? Do all the meth you want in my bathroom. Do all my meth. Don't touch my Crunch Bars in the fridge, okay? Skin too much.
Skipping through the end times.